Let's take the RGB project that we just did and let's fade the LED through all the different colors. We'll be using a program for this. Let me show you the simulation. So as you can see, it's fading through the different colors. It's not like just red, green, blue like we just did, but it fades through the different colors. Now, in order to find the code for that, here's what I recommend. So basically, at the top, I put the Spark Fun Arduino activity guide. So you would click on that and go to page 30 to the colorful light RGB LEDs. It'll show you an explanation of what you're doing. And if you're interested, you can look at the schematics, which are right here, but we've done it all, so you should know how to do that. This is a board that they recommend using. You don't need it, so we're not going to use it. What you should do is click on this. It'll take you to a website that has the program. So what you would do is actually just copy the whole thing. Just go select all. Make sure you don't copy anything else. It looks like nothing else is getting copied, which is fine. I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to go back to the RGB Fade project that I'm doing in Tinkercad. We're back in Tinkercad, and here's a circuit that you saw before. What you have to do is paste the code here. So I'm just going to click on that. That window pops up. Put your cursor there, paste, and you can, it might be preferable for you to look at the code too at the same time. So I'm just going to move that, and let's start the simulation here. And then you can find that it starts to do what I originally demonstrated. I am going to leave you responsible with this. So because of your experience, you should be able to do that. In order to move around on my Mac, I'm pressing the Command key, and I can move around with that. And if I click once without holding the Command key down, it stops, and I can use my mouse normally. And I'm just kind of zooming in or out, depending if I'm going up or down. And I just wanted to show you this part. Notice that this wire is connected to output 9, output 10, and output 11. Okay, it's very significant. And the color scheme is the same: red, green, blue, if you remember. Okay, let me just show you a couple of things on the circuit which are interesting. If you hover over that, it shows you all the connection points. So it shows you that this wire is connected to the resistor. And if I hover over this, it shows you all the connection points. That means all this is connected. There's a strip underneath which connects all those points. So this terminal is connected to the red, and so forth. This one is the ground. And notice it's very interesting. I love the way they do this. The ground is connected in this way. It shows you. And if you go here, if you had a red wire, it'd be connected from left to right. So keep that in mind. It's very helpful. Let's have a look at the code that controls the LEDs. This is something you might not be familiar with, is the word constant. So it means that it will not change. So it's an integer that doesn't change, and you got to call it something. So this one will be the red LED pin. It's a good name because you can see right there, there's pin 9 for the red LED pin. There's a constant again. This is the green LED pin, and they'll put it on pin 10. So there's the output 10. You could call it output 10. And we're going to create another constant. This one is for blue, and we will use the output 11. So right there. So that gets connected to your board. Now, don't forget the comments. The comments are there always to help you. So this is used to store the current intensity level of the LEDs. So basically this is an integer, but notice it doesn't say constant right there, which means it will change. It will vary. That's why it's called variable. And it'll be called red intensity, and the variable for green intensity, and the variable for blue intensity, and we'll start at 0. All right, this is going to be the length of time. So it's going to be a constant again. We're going to call it display time, and we're giving it a value of 100. And this will be in milliseconds. So we don't have to keep writing 100, you just put display time. So we'll have a look at that. So come on down here, this is void loop, and it's a loop. And there's the bracket. Keep in mind that those brackets are always very important. Okay, so there's the opening bracket, and the closing bracket for void setup is here. The other brackets are for the loop. So I always prefer my brackets here above, but many people use this style, which is okay, I guess. This is the opening bracket, closing bracket, opening bracket, closing bracket for this loop, opening bracket, closing bracket for that loop. So that's how the brackets are laid out. So look at the comments. They're saying we move from 100% red, 0% green to 0% red, etc. Before I do that, I'd like to show you something for color, and you can actually go pick it. This would be your classroom. I would click on this, and I wanted to show you this color picker, particularly the RGB down here. Look at the values. This is a way to find the values for these colors. So notice if you wanted that color here on the left, it would be 33, it was 33, 30, 59, 105. And if I go all the way black, I can go down to 0. But if I go all the way white, it becomes I think I can make it 255. There you go. It's 255. That's what's happening in the loop. So I would urge you to have a look at that. So back at the program, it'll go from the green intensity. Do you recall we had it here, green intensity? It's a variable we created. That's 0. And just to make sure, we make it 0 once again. Remember the semicolon? So this is the variable, which is 0. It's going to go from 0, and it's going to go false at 256. Should be able to understand that. Hopefully you understand it. That goes in increments of 5. So it'll go 0, 5, 10, 15, kind of like that. Now, at the same time, we gave a value for the red intensity, which we declared here. We gave it a value of 255. And every time this loops, it'll subtract 1 from the 255. So it's a neat program because it means that green intensity increases and red intensity decreases, because as this one increases, it becomes 5, and then 10 and 15. So it subtracts from red intensity, which was 255. So one is going up, the other one's going down. Now, analog write is a way to control the green LED pin. So if you go back up here, green LED pin is 10. All right. So if you look here, this is what is going to be controlled, and you can go from 0 to 255. So, and there's a number, because that number changes from here. If you recall, it goes from 0, +5, +5, +5. Red intensity goes from, it was 255, so it's going to go from 255 -5 -5, so it eventually makes it so it is a crossfade, and that's how you get the mix in colors. Now what happens here is it's basically the same thing, but just a number game, that it just affects each color in a different way. Always one adding, the other one subtracting, which is really nice. And remember, we talked about display time. Remember, that was a constant that we had programmed at 100 milliseconds. So that's the program. And then basically, if you click on that, it'll make the LED fade. So let me see, I think it's still working. It's been working all this time. And there you go. So it's actually been looping the whole while. So hopefully you can build that, and we'll move on.